Well, good afternoon. I also want to thank the organizers for bringing us together again. I'm with the National Dairy Council, so I'd have to toast you folks with a glass of milk. Thank you so much. Again, through the National Dairy Council, dairy farmers, dairy importers, and the dairy industry have been committed to health and wellness for 100 years. And actually, we're celebrating the 100-year anniversary this year of research and education. But today I'm here on behalf of the Innovation Center, that's a partner company affiliated with the National Dairy Council that works to combine the collective resources of the industry on a pre-competitive basis to provide nutritious dairy products and to foster industry innovation for healthy people, healthy products, and healthy planet, all very relevant to our conversation today. And priority of the Innovation Center is examples would be food safety, sustainability, health and wellness, and a key priority of the Health and Wellness Committee is sodium reduction. Again, in terms of the makeup of the Innovation Center, it's broad and growing. It includes the 30 CEOs and chairmen of the dairy industry. It's got 450 companies involved and over 1,000 subject matter experts involved. And when we started out on sodium, we brought together 27 different organizations back in 2010 in a planning meeting that included thought leaders from a variety of different communities, the medical community, dietetic, government, universities, and of course cheesemakers. And the key message coming out of that meeting was that the industry wanted to be part of the solution here, so we're all working together on that. A cheese and sodium best practices task force was formed to collaboratively address sodium in cheese. Here you see 25 different organizations that have been working together over these years. And we have to say that the collaboration and investment has really been terrific. The task force represents about 80% of the cheese volume nationally. All the initiatives are pre-competitive, so they will benefit the entire industry. Again, we're focused on research and insights that I'll talk about in a few minutes. And have to recognize that significant resources have been invested to help overcome barriers, both time and monetary investment, and to uncover solutions. So by way of background, what I wanted to do was when we first started out, we conducted 2 comprehensive research studies to fill in information gaps to ensure the right solutions were being focused on. In the first study, it was determined that an industry-wide understanding of the current amount of sodium in cheese was needed. So the largest study of its type was conducted with over 1,600 samples as a baseline for future reduction. And the survey found what was really interesting, that there was wide variation in sodium levels across, of course, different types of cheese, but more importantly, brands, forms, and even sample-to-sample variation. So the study also uncovered that the actual amount that was in the cheese is typically lower than the labeled amounts. The second study conducted was a consumer sensory study to understand how consumer satisfaction is impacted by reducing the sodium level. And from the taste testing, it was found that reducing sodium below certain levels impacts consumer satisfaction. We've heard that repeatedly, but in fact, in this case, and amongst the different cheeses that we tested, there is actually a fairly narrow range of sodium that results in the highest consumer satisfaction. So we learned that the best approaches are reducing sodium in small increments and then reducing sodium variability. So these research learnings, along with detailed feedback from industry members, were utilized by the Cheese and Sodium Task Force to focus on these 4 areas, and I'm now going to cover each one of them in detail. So the first initiative is rapid sodium testing. And as I just shared, one of the key takeaways from the research results was the variability of sodium levels. There are currently 2 industry methods used to measure sodium. One of these methods, chloride testing, doesn't directly measure sodium. That's kind of the industry standard, if you will. As we know, we can't control what we can't measure. The other method, ICP testing, really takes too long to be actionable during the cheese-making process. It takes a day or a week if it's sent out. So the task force determined that one of the most significant needs for the industry was a rapid and direct sodium test, and a test that will help cheesemakers during the actual cheese-making process measure so that they have better process control and more consistent sodium levels. So through an open innovation process, we actually identified a technology from the mining industry. It's called X-ray fluorescence technology, or XRF. So this technology provides results in about 15 to 20 minutes and directly measures sodium. It's really a win on both fronts, but it also simultaneously measures other minerals as well. So you can measure not only sodium, but potassium, which is in other minerals are important in the cheese make process. But several issues were identified as we worked with when we piloted this with different industry partners. One of the issues that we ran into was that there's warmth in this. Again, this instrument is used in the mining industry, so it gets warmer with time. So in the chamber that goes around that you see in that picture there. And what happens is, it doesn't matter when you have a rock in there, it really doesn't matter. But when you have cheese, what happens is you have oil and sodium migration, so that proved to be an issue. So we had to develop 4 different prep methods in order for each specific type of cheese. So ideally what you want is you want to have one simple prep method here, but again, to drive adoption of this, the instrument chamber needs to stay cool, but that involves modification of current equipment. There's costs associated with doing that, and to date, we haven't found a funding source to modify the instrument. But we're finding that other suppliers have recognized that this is a X-ray fluorescence technology, and other technologies could add value here. So there seems to be this is spurring and catalyzing innovation. Again, I'm not going to, Kathy Glass and Mike Doyle also mentioned this. Our other initiative is the food safety curves. Again, our effort has been to update them. Again, our objective has been to update the curves for shelf-stable processed cheese to enable more rapid formulation of lower sodium products. And we've completed a fairly robust sample test, and we're expected to publish results shortly. Another key initiative was education and outreach. Again, we're trying to improve the understanding of cheese benefits and to dispel myths and misinformation. And we've put out a lot of information on this. Again, we've been out presenting in the industry our key learnings of the Cheese and Sodium Task Force, and that was last week. And finally, I just wanted Kathy Glass, presented some of the terrific work that we're doing in research and development, and that's really an important last piece of our effort, which is to conduct sodium reduction research. What she presented exemplifies that, but we're also conducting it in other universities across the Dairy Center network and through major universities. Some of the key research, again, it's focused on reducing salt addition, all in the context of taste and food safety, consumer acceptance. And with that, I think I'm on time. Thank you.